I'm going to start a fire. It's cold in here. You can see my breath. So get that going and enjoy this B-roll. Enough of that B-roll. Back to the cars. Let's go. Here we go. All right, the first thing I'm going to do here is pull off these clamps here holding this coupler on, and then probably go ahead and take this blow-off valve off, disconnect the recirculation valve, take this bolt off here, this bolt off here if I had one. I don't know where that went. And then maybe the Y pipe underneath, and then that bad boy should come right out. Alright, so the next thing you're going to do is to remove this vacuum line right here and unscrew the trumpet. You don't have to worry about that if you have the stock blow-off valve. That's not going to have it, but we got aftermarket, so we're going to have to remove that. Alright, next thing is we're going to be removing the screws that hold the blow-off valve to the intercooler, and that is a 5mm Allen key for the GFB style here, so let's get to it. When you pull that blow-off valve off, make sure that you keep the gasket nice and clean and safe. You're gonna need that for reinstallation, but blow-off valve is off. Next, we'll work on the recirc tube here, and then that'll be free. And then all we gotta do is release that, and we should be good to go. What I've found easiest is loosening this bracket right here. It's a little squeeze bracket. Once it's loose, you should just be able to twist this out of here, like so, and blow-off valve is free. Alright, next up we will use a 5/16 size socket here to remove this clamp. You don't have to get it completely loose, just enough to pull the intercooler out. Usually I go till the last tooth or so, like that, till we can spin it freely, and we should be able just to pull that guy off. I lied, we can't pull it off. We have one more clamp down here on the elbow of the turbo there. So one more of these guys, and then we should be able to pull it off. Alright, so we got the intercooler out, and we do have some good news. The old boost controller right here is tapped into the vacuum line for the blow-off valve, so we'll be able to reuse that T right there. Looks like the sender's right there, and it runs through the grommet, which we're going to be using. So that's all good news. There's already a slit in it, so I don't got to do that. All I got to do is basically just replace this vacuum line right here with the new Pro Sport and put the sender up there. And then I'll be able to run the wideband down along the downpipe here and route it all nice and clean, and we should be in business. Other than that, I mean, this should go pretty smooth. So also, I found this. Check it. Ooh. And then if you guys ever wonder what comes in the package when you do buy a Pro Sport gauge, you do get the gauge, obviously. This is for boost controller only. This is kind of your pressure sensor unit here. Power harness, so that's where you'll get your power through your illumination, ground, all that. You do get the included vacuum tee thing, like for installing in your line. I already have one, so I won't be using that. You do get additional vacuum hose in case you do need to extend them. This goes to the gauge from this sensor right here. That's kind of the brains of it. You get mounting hardware, so if you were going to mount it to your dash or whatever, you get these cups and whatnot, but I'm going to be putting it in that gauge pod, so don't need any of that. Instructions for all the dummies out there, and you do get this cool Pro Sport sticker. Oops. Alright, so I went ahead and put some new vacuum line on here. Use the inline filter there. It's kind of a moisture protector to kind of protect the sensor here. So I'll need to figure out where to put this, just somewhere out of the way. I don't have any bolts for it or anything, it's just a universal part, so I'm going to use some good old zip ties. I'm going to hook the sensor up here and then run it through the firewall right there into the cab, and then I'll do the same thing for the air to fuel in a little bit here. So I went ahead and removed the A-pillar. I didn't record it because it kind of needed two hands for it, but it kind of just sits up here like this, and then these tabs along here kind of just press into these locks here. So I just started at the bottom, pried the top one out, and then the rest came out pretty easy. So don't put too much pressure on, you might break it, but just take your time and be fluent with it. So with the A-pillar here, the cover, you're going to want to lay it over the top of the original one, and then you're going to want to mark the corner. I just put some dots on here with a silver Sharpie. And then you're going to want to drill into it with a 3/16 bit, so you can insert these little push pins in there to lock it in there. You're going to want to do that first, and possibly drill a couple of holes in here for your wires to run down the column into your firewall. Alright, so finished product should look something like this. 4 holes on all 4 corners. And then, a couple half-inch holes here to get your harnesses through, power cables, whatever, down the column into behind the dash and into the firewall. Alright, so I went ahead and ran everything. Can't see the grommet up there, but all the stuff, that's not how it's supposed to be. All the stuff is behind the pedals. And we routed it up through here along the fuse box, through this hole right there, and then up along the dash. So this cable right here goes to the boost gauge, and this one goes to the wideband. So that's all ran. I'll clean up some of the wires a little bit later with some zip ties, kind of tuck it looking nice, but that's where we're at right now. And as far as powering these gauges, I'm going to be using these ATA circuits, and I'll be plumbing it into the 15 amp right there in the middle, which is the radio. So all these gauges should come on when the car comes on if it's off the radio power. So that's an easy way to do it. I know some people tap into like the clock harness up there, but this is just a little bit easier, I think, since I'll have all the pillars up, or the gauges up on the pillar up there. Okay, so I got all these wires tucked down between the dash and the firewall down to here. Like I said, I'm going to organize it later, but that's kind of just a mock-up for right now. I need to run power to both of these and then hook the sensors up into like the boost controller and all that stuff, and we should be good. And then we can move on to the gauge cluster right here. It's kind of dark in here, so I'm using a flashlight, so bear with me. Alright, so I got power ran to the gauges, and I think I found a ground back there behind the steering wheel. I think it's part of the clutch assembly, but here we go. Let's see if it fires up first time. Moment of truth. Hey, let's go. We got power, we got ground. I'm not exactly sure what those are doing, but not bad. They actually look alright once we get them red. Match that, I think we'll be in business. Now I just gotta put the oil pressure in my gauge pod over there and we'll be good. Alright, so preemptively ran the oil pressure wire through here because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get to this today. Plus I still got to put the intercooler back on so I can move the car onto the lift so I can put the wideband sensor in, and that should wrap that up at least. I have boost and air fuel done. Probably tackle oil pressure tomorrow. I gotta take this out, so I don't know if I have time tonight to do it, but made pretty good progress tonight, so stay tuned and I'll probably upload tomorrow's footage as well. Alright, so we got the car up. I'm going to be taking out this O2 sensor here and throwing the wideband in and hooking up these cables. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take off this cover here for the alternator using a 10mm socket. Take off the bolt there and the bolt right there. We should be good. Alright, so I went ahead and got the alternator out here. All I did was loosen this bolt here, which is basically like the tension bolt. And then there's a bracket here that you'll take a bolt out. And then one more bracket, a bolt goes right there all the way through. And essentially, it's one of these goes all the way through the bracket to the back nut here. Make sure you don't lose that down the back because it'll be very hard to find. But now we have access to the old sender, so that's going to be replaced with the new one. I'm going to feed this wire, pull this wire out, feed the new wire through, hook up the sensor, and we should be good. Alright guys, I had a buddy stop by, so I wasn't really able to show you guys any of this, but I got the new galley plug-in from ProSport, plugged the sensor switch in, and then plugged in the harness for it, and then went ahead and threw the alternator back on. Just need to get it tight again, and then we will move into the car and start wiring up the gauge and get some power to it, and we should be done. Okay, first wire up here, got it grounded and we got power to it. Let's see if it fires up. We're good. Everything running off ignition, good to go. Alright guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap up the project on the ProSport gauges. We got everything in, we got everything powered, grounded, tucked, nice and clean how we want it. Everything works when we start the key up, everything lights up. So if you guys got any questions about the install, drop them in the comment section below. And don't be afraid to hit that like button and subscribe, tell your friends, do whatever, honestly. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Thank you.